Do you know who named the continents? Or why they were named what they were? It seems like basic geography, but the stories behind these massive landmasses are anything but simple. Welcome to the World in Focus, where today we're pulling back the curtain to reveal the dark side of the 7 continents that no one ever talks about. Let's start this journey together and unveil the mysteries hidden in plain sight. Let's begin with Africa. For centuries, it was labeled the Dark Continent. This wasn't because of the people, but because European explorers knew so little about its vast interior. It was a continent of mystery, of the unknown. But this label, born of ignorance, quickly took on a more sinister meaning. It became a justification, a way to paint an entire continent and its diverse peoples with a single, condescending brushstroke. It was used to rationalize the horrors of the slave trade and the scramble for Africa, where colonial powers carved up the continent without any regard for the cultures, kingdoms, and societies that had existed for millennia. This term, Dark Continent, wasn't just a name. It was a narrative that fueled exploitation and erased rich histories. The shadow of this label still lingers, shaping perceptions and perpetuating stereotypes even today. It's a heavy legacy, a reminder of how powerful and dangerous a simple name can be. Now, let's journey across the Atlantic to South America, home to the magnificent Amazon rainforest, the lungs of our planet. We see breathtaking images of its lush greenery and incredible biodiversity. But beneath this vibrant canopy lies a silent, creeping tragedy. The Amazon is dying. Every single minute, an area equivalent to several football fields is destroyed. This isn't a natural process. It's driven by illegal logging, mining, and vast agricultural expansion, often for cattle ranching and soy cultivation to feed the world's growing appetite. Indigenous communities who have been stewards of this forest for generations are displaced, their cultures and lives threatened. The destruction of the Amazon isn't just a loss of trees and animals. It's a direct threat to global climate stability. The smoke from the fires chokes the air for thousands of miles, and the loss of this vital carbon sink pushes our planet closer to a tipping point. The silent dying of the Amazon is a crisis that affects every single one of us, a stark warning written in smoke and ash. From the sweltering rainforest, we travel to the coldest, driest, and most remote place on Earth, Antarctica. We imagine it as the last pristine wilderness, a continent of pure ice and snow, untouched by human hands. But that's a myth. While it is protected by international treaties, Antarctica is not immune to our influence. Scientific research stations, while crucial for understanding our planet, leave their own footprint. Waste management is a massive challenge, and accidental fuel spills can have devastating consequences in this fragile ecosystem. More alarming is the invisible invasion. Microplastics, chemical pollutants from thousands of miles away, have been found in Antarctic snow and ice. They're carried by ocean currents and atmospheric winds, a stark reminder that our pollution knows no borders. And of course, there's climate change. The polar ice caps are melting at an unprecedented rate, contributing to rising sea levels worldwide. The pristine wilderness is on the front line of our planet's biggest battle, and it's showing the scars. Let's move to Asia, the world's largest and most populous continent. It's a continent of incredible contrasts, of ancient traditions and futuristic cities, of immense wealth and staggering poverty. This extreme inequality is one of its darkest secrets. While megacities like Shanghai, Tokyo, and Singapore boast skylines that pierce the clouds and economies that drive the world, millions of people live in slums just a stone's throw away, lacking access to clean water, sanitation, and basic healthcare. This gap between the ultra-rich and the desperately poor is widening. Alongside this social crisis is an environmental one. Rapid industrialization and population growth have come at a tremendous cost. Rivers are choked with industrial waste, and the air in many major cities is so polluted it's a serious health hazard. The drive for economic growth has often steamrolled environmental protections, leading to deforestation, soil degradation, and a looming water crisis in many regions. Asia's story is a precarious balancing act between progress and peril, a cautionary tale of what happens when development outpaces sustainability and social equity. Now to Europe, a continent often seen as the cradle of Western civilization, a beacon of art, culture, and enlightenment. But this perception often ignores the deep and dark shadows cast by its colonial past. For centuries, European nations built vast empires, exploiting the resources and people of Africa, Asia, and the Americas. This immense wealth, which funded much of Europe's development and grand architecture, was built on a foundation of subjugation and violence. The legacy of colonialism isn't just in the history books. It lives on in the systemic inequalities and racial tensions that persist in modern European societies. It's seen in the struggles of immigrant communities and the debates over national identity. Furthermore, the echoes of old conflicts and divisions still ripple through the continent, sometimes resurfacing in nationalist movements and political instability. Europe's beautiful cities and rich cultural heritage are undeniable, but they are intertwined with a complex and often brutal history that continues to shape its present and future. Next, we cross the Atlantic again to North America. Often portrayed as the land of opportunity and freedom, it harbors its own hidden forms of exploitation and environmental burdens. In the United States and Canada, beneath the surface of prosperous economies, are communities that have been left behind. Hidden labor exploitation exists in various sectors, from agriculture to domestic work, where migrant and undocumented workers often face grueling conditions for little pay, with few rights or protections. The continent's immense consumption habits also come with a massive environmental price tag. The carbon footprint of the average North American is among the highest in the world. This lifestyle is fueled by industries that have historically caused significant environmental damage, from oil sands extraction in Canada to mountaintop removal mining in Appalachia. These practices not only scar the landscape but also disproportionately affect marginalized and indigenous communities, whose lands and water sources are often polluted. The promise of North America often conceals a reality of inequality and an environmental debt that is coming due. Finally, we journey to Australia, or more broadly, Oceania. Often pictured as a paradise of sun-drenched beaches and unique wildlife, its vastness creates a profound sense of isolation. For many remote communities, this isn't a romantic notion but a harsh reality, leading to challenges in accessing healthcare, education, and economic opportunities. But the deepest wound in this region is its colonial history. The arrival of Europeans was devastating for Aboriginal Australians and other indigenous peoples across the Pacific Islands. They faced massacres, displacement from their ancestral lands, and systematic attempts to erase their cultures, languages, and traditions. The stolen generations in Australia, where indigenous children were forcibly removed from their families, is a particularly dark chapter whose trauma reverberates through generations. Today, indigenous communities across Oceania continue to fight for their rights, for recognition, and for justice. They face systemic discrimination and significant disparities in health, education, and life expectancy. The stunning landscapes of Oceania hold stories of immense pain and resilience, a testament to the enduring strength of the world's oldest living cultures in the face of unimaginable loss. So, from the mislabeled plains of Africa to the wounded heart of Australia, every continent holds stories far more complex and challenging than the ones we are usually told. These aren't just tales of the past, they are ongoing issues that shape our present and will define our future. Recognizing these dark sides isn't about placing blame or feeling hopeless. It's about understanding the full picture, acknowledging the injustices, and realizing that our world is interconnected in ways we rarely imagine. The pollution in Antarctica is linked to our consumption in North America. The colonial legacies of Europe are still felt in Africa and Oceania. By bringing these issues into the light, we can start to have more honest conversations and work towards a more just and sustainable world for everyone. Thank you for joining us on this journey with the world in focus. If you found this exploration enlightening, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into the stories that shape our world. See you next time.